Welcome back. Today we are going to explore a question that thousands of English learners ask themselves every day. How can you practice speaking English when you do not have someone to talk with? Maybe you understand English when you read. Maybe you can follow videos and lessons. Maybe you know many useful words and grammar rules. But when it is time to speak, everything suddenly feels difficult. Your mind slows down. Your confidence disappears. And the words that seemed easy a moment ago become hard to remember. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Many learners experience the same challenge. They spend months or even years studying English, but they still feel uncomfortable when they try to speak. Some people worry about making mistakes. Some people are afraid that their pronunciation is not good enough. Others feel nervous because they think they need perfect English before they can start speaking. But what if that idea is completely wrong? What if speaking English is not something you do after you become confident? What if confidence comes because you start speaking? In today's lesson, I am going to share practical and effective ways to practice spoken English, even if you are studying completely on your own. You do not need expensive classes. You do not need native-speaking friends. And you do not need perfect grammar. You only need a simple plan and the willingness to practice a little every day. There is also one daily habit that many successful learners use to improve their speaking ability much faster. It may seem small, but it can make a huge difference in the way you think, speak, and communicate in English. So stay with me until the end, because each chapter will help you become a more confident English speaker step by step. Chapter 1. Before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever imagined yourself speaking English confidently, but when the opportunity finally arrived, you could not find the words? Perhaps someone asked you an easy question in English. Maybe you understood everything they said. Maybe you even knew the answer. But instead of speaking, you became nervous. Your thoughts became confused. You started worrying about grammar, pronunciation, and mistakes. And before you knew it, the moment was gone. This happens to many learners. I remember a time when I felt exactly the same way. I had studied English for a long time. I spent hours reading articles and learning vocabulary. I watched lessons almost every day. Yet, when I needed to speak, I often felt uncomfortable and unsure of myself. One day, I had a chance to use English in a real conversation. The situation was simple. The question was simple. But my reaction surprised me. My heart started beating faster. I began thinking about every possible mistake. Instead of focusing on communication, I focused on being perfect. As a result, speaking became much harder than it needed to be. Later, I realized something important. The biggest obstacle was not my grammar. It was not my vocabulary. It was not my accent. The real obstacle was fear. Many learners believe they must wait until their English becomes perfect before they start speaking regularly. Unfortunately, that moment never arrives. There will always be another grammar rule to learn. There will always be another vocabulary list to study. If you keep waiting for perfection, you may never give yourself the chance to practice. The truth is very different. Speaking creates confidence. Confidence does not create speaking. Think about how children learn their first language. They make mistakes all the time. Their sentences are often incomplete. They mispronounce words. They forget things. Yet they continue speaking every day. They learn because they use the language, not because they wait until they can use it perfectly. English works the same way. Many people spend years collecting information about English. They memorize grammar structures. They learn hundreds of words. They complete exercises and watch lessons. All of these things are useful, but speaking is a skill, and like any skill, it improves through practice. Imagine someone who wants to learn how to swim. Reading books about swimming can help. Watching videos can help. Listening to experts can help. But eventually, that person must enter the water. Only then does real learning begin. Speaking English is very similar. You become better by speaking. You become more comfortable by speaking. You become more confident by speaking. That is why I want to show you something encouraging today. You do not need to wait for the perfect situation. You can begin improving your speaking skills right now, even if you are alone. One of the simplest methods is talking to yourself in English. At first, this idea may feel unusual. Some learners even laugh when they hear this suggestion. But it is actually one of the most effective ways to build speaking confidence. Why? Because it removes pressure. There is no audience. There is no judgment. There is no fear of embarrassment. You are simply giving your brain an opportunity to use English actively. Start with very small sentences. You can talk about what you are doing. I am sitting at my desk. I am drinking coffee. I am watching a lesson. I feel excited today. I need to finish my work. These sentences may seem simple, but they are powerful because they train your mind to produce English naturally. You can also create a habit of describing your daily routine. When you wake up, talk about your plans. When you prepare breakfast, describe what you are doing. When you go for a walk, explain what you see around you. The goal is not perfection. The goal is practice. Every sentence gives your brain another opportunity to become familiar with English. Another useful exercise is observation practice. Look around your room and describe everything you notice. Talk about colors, objects, shapes, sounds, and activities. The more often you connect English with your daily life, the more natural the language begins to feel. And here is something extremely important. Do not be afraid of mistakes. Many learners treat mistakes like enemies. They become frustrated whenever they say something incorrectly. But mistakes are actually signs of progress. Every mistake teaches you something. Every mistake shows you where you can improve. Every mistake means you are trying. Nobody becomes a confident speaker without making mistakes first. In fact, every fluent English speaker you admire today once struggled with the same challenges. They made errors. They felt nervous. They forgot words. They experienced difficult moments. But they continued practicing. That persistence made the difference. Remember this simple idea. A few minutes of speaking practice every day can be more valuable than hours of study that never include speaking. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily actions create long-term results. And there is one more thing I want you to remember. You do not need to speak quickly. Many learners believe that fast English means good English. That is not true. Clear communication is far more important than speed. Speak slowly if necessary. Take your time. Focus on expressing your ideas clearly. As you continue practicing, your speed will improve naturally. One day you will notice something exciting. The words will come more easily. You will spend less time translating. You will feel calmer during conversations. And speaking English will begin to feel more natural than it ever has before. But this is only the first step. There is another powerful technique that can help you sound more natural, improve your pronunciation, and strengthen your speaking rhythm. It is simple, effective, and used by successful learners all over the world. And in the next chapter, we are going to explore exactly how it works. Chapter 2. Let me share a story with you. A learner once told me that he felt stuck. He studied English almost every day. He watched videos, he learned new vocabulary, he practiced grammar exercises, he even read short English books. But there was one problem. Whenever he tried to speak, his words did not come out naturally. He paused too often. He forgot simple phrases. And he felt disappointed because he knew he understood much more English than he could actually speak. One day he decided to change his approach. Instead of spending all of his time studying English, He started spending more time listening to English. Not passive listening, active listening. Every day he chose a short English story. Sometimes it was only 1 or 2 minutes long. Sometimes it was a simple conversation. He listened carefully. He paid attention to the way the speaker connected words together. He noticed how sentences sounded in real speech. Then he listened again. At first, he only listened. Then he started repeating. Then he started speaking along with the audio. Slowly, he noticed something interesting. Certain phrases began staying in his memory. He no longer needed to think about every word separately. He started remembering complete expressions. This is one reason why listening is so powerful. Many learners try to build sentences word by word. But fluent speakers often use phrases that they have heard many times before. Their brains recognize patterns. The more you listen, the more patterns your brain collects. Think about how children learn language. Before they speak clearly, they spend a long time listening. They hear the same sounds again and again. They hear the same phrases repeated many times. Eventually, those sounds become familiar. English learners can benefit from the same process. You do not need to understand every word immediately. You only need to keep listening consistently. One helpful exercise is called focused listening. Choose a short audio recording. Listen once without stopping. Try to understand the main idea. Then listen again. This time, pay attention to individual sentences. Notice how the speaker pronounces certain words. Notice where the speaker pauses. Notice which words are stressed. Then try repeating those sentences yourself. For example, imagine the speaker says, "I had a great day today." Listen carefully. Then repeat, "I had a great day today." Try again. Notice the rhythm. Notice the pronunciation. Notice how the sentence flows. Small exercises like this can make a huge difference over time. Another useful habit is reading aloud. Many learners read silently. There is nothing wrong with that. Reading helps improve vocabulary and comprehension. But reading aloud gives you an extra advantage. It allows your eyes, ears, mouth, and brain to work together. Choose a simple article, story, or graded reader. Read one paragraph aloud. Do not worry about being perfect. Focus on speaking clearly. The more often you do this, the more comfortable speaking will feel. I remember when I first started reading aloud regularly. At the beginning, it felt awkward. Some words were difficult. Some sentences felt too long. Sometimes I stopped in the middle of a paragraph. But after several weeks, I noticed improvement. My pronunciation became stronger, my confidence increased, and speaking started feeling less stressful. This is why small daily habits matter so much. Many people search for a secret method that will make them fluent quickly. But in reality, improvement usually comes from simple actions repeated consistently. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the next day. Those small efforts grow into real progress. Another powerful idea is recording yourself. Many learners avoid this because it feels uncomfortable. They hear their voice and immediately start criticizing themselves. Maybe they think their accent sounds strange. Maybe they think they speak too slowly. Maybe they focus only on mistakes. But recording yourself can be one of the best learning tools available. Record a short message. Talk about your day. Describe your plans. Share your opinion about something simple. Then listen to the recording. Do not listen to judge yourself. Listen to learn. Ask yourself, was my pronunciation clear? Did I pause too often? Which words were difficult? What can I improve next time? When you record yourself regularly, it becomes easier to notice progress, and progress creates motivation. You begin to realize that your English is improving, even when improvement feels slow. Remember, language learning is not a race. You do not need to compare yourself with anyone else. Focus on your own journey. Focus on becoming slightly better than you were yesterday. And here is something important. Do not fill your study time with difficult materials that frustrate you. Choose content that matches your level. If something is too difficult, learning becomes stressful. If something is understandable, learning becomes enjoyable. That is why graded readers, beginner podcasts, and simple stories can be so effective. They give your brain understandable English. And understandable English helps build confidence. The more confidence you build, the more willing you become to speak. The more willing you become to speak, the more experience you gain. And the more experience you gain, the more natural English begins to feel. But there is another challenge that many learners face. Even after listening, reading aloud, and practicing regularly, they still spend too much time translating inside their heads. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in the next chapter. Chapter 3. Now let us talk about something that can completely change the way you speak English. Many learners believe that speaking becomes difficult because they do not know enough vocabulary. Others think grammar is the main problem. While vocabulary and grammar are important, there is another reason why speaking often feels slow and stressful. The reason is translation. Let me show you what happens. Imagine that someone asks you a simple question. What are your plans for this weekend? You understand the question. You know what you want to say. But before speaking, your brain starts working very hard. First, you create the answer in your native language. Then you search for English words. Then you think about grammar. Then you worry about making a mistake. By the time you are ready to answer, several seconds have passed. This experience is very common. In fact, many learners deal with it every day. I remember struggling with the same problem. Even simple conversations felt exhausting because I was constantly translating. Every sentence felt like a small puzzle that needed to be solved before I could speak. Eventually, I realized something important. If you want English to feel natural, your brain must become familiar with thinking in English. Now, do not worry. This does not mean you need advanced vocabulary. It does not mean you need perfect grammar. And it definitely does not happen overnight. Thinking in English starts with very small steps. One of the easiest exercises is using simple observations. Look around you and describe what you see. The room is quiet. My computer is on the desk. The weather looks nice today. I am drinking water. The more often you do this, the more frequently your brain uses English without translation. Another effective habit is creating short thoughts throughout the day. When you wake up, think about your morning. I need to make breakfast. I should answer my emails. Today will be busy. When you leave your home, describe what is happening around you. There are many cars on the road. The sky is cloudy. People are walking quickly. These thoughts may seem small, but they help create an important change. Instead of translating, you begin using English directly. And every time you do that, your brain becomes a little faster. Another exercise I recommend is asking yourself simple questions. For example, how do I feel today? What did I do yesterday? What do I want to learn this week? Answer these questions in English. Keep your answers simple. Do not worry about sounding sophisticated. The goal is not perfection. The goal is building comfort. Many learners make the mistake of creating complicated sentences before they are ready. Simple English is powerful. In fact, many successful conversations happen using basic vocabulary. What matters most is communication. I also encourage learners to create imaginary situations. Pretend you are meeting someone for the first time. Introduce yourself. Talk about your hobbies. Talk about your work or studies. Then imagine a different situation. Perhaps you are ordering food. Maybe you are asking for directions. Maybe you are talking about your favorite movie. Practice these conversations in your mind or out loud. This exercise helps prepare you for real situations before they happen. The more familiar these situations become, the less nervous you will feel when they occur in real life. Another important thing to remember is that fluency is not the same as speed. Many people believe fluent speakers talk very quickly, but speed is not the true goal. The real goal is comfort. A comfortable speaker can express ideas clearly. A comfortable speaker does not panic when searching for words. A comfortable speaker continues communicating even when mistakes happen. That is real fluency. And comfort develops through practice. Think about any skill you have learned. At first, everything feels difficult. Then it becomes familiar. Eventually, it feels natural. English follows the same pattern. Every conversation teaches you something. Every sentence gives you experience. Every practice session helps your brain adapt. That is why consistency matters so much. 10 minutes of daily practice is often more effective than several hours once a month. Small efforts repeated consistently create lasting improvement. I remember creating a simple evening habit that helped me a great deal. Before going to sleep, I spent a few minutes reviewing my day in English. I worked on my project, I watched a video, I spoke with a friend. I learned something new today. The sentences were simple, but after several weeks, something interesting happened. English thoughts started appearing more naturally. I was spending less time translating. I felt more relaxed while speaking, and conversations became easier. That progress did not happen because of one big breakthrough. It happened because of small daily practice. This is why patience is so important. Many learners become discouraged because progress feels slow. But language learning is not a straight line. Some days feel easier than others. Some days feel challenging. What matters is continuing. Trust the process. Keep practicing. Keep speaking. Keep listening. Keep thinking in English. And little by little, you will notice changes. You will understand more. You will respond more quickly. You will feel more confident. Most importantly, English will start feeling less like a subject and more like a real part of your daily life. And when that happens, something wonderful begins to occur. Speaking becomes less about rules and more about communication, less about fear and more about expression, less about perfection and more about connection. By now, you have learned how to speak alone, how to improve through listening, and how to think more naturally in English. These skills create a strong foundation, but there is still one final step. Sooner or later, every learner must use English with other people. And in the next chapter, we're going to talk about how to build confidence in real conversations and how to become comfortable speaking English in everyday situations. Chapter 4. Now we arrive at one of the most important parts of your English speaking journey. For many learners, the biggest challenge is not learning new words. It is not understanding grammar. It is not finding study materials. The biggest challenge is using English with real people. I once spoke with a learner who had spent years studying English. He knew many grammar rules. He had a good vocabulary. He could understand articles, videos, and lessons without much difficulty. But whenever he had an opportunity to speak with someone in English, he became nervous. His mind filled with questions. What if I make a mistake? What if I cannot remember the right word? What if the other person does not understand me? Because of these fears, he often avoided conversations. He told himself that he would start speaking when he felt more prepared. But weeks passed, then months passed, and nothing changed. One day, however, something unexpected happened. While traveling, he met someone who spoke English. The conversation was very short. It was not a complicated discussion. It was just a few simple questions and answers. At first, he felt nervous. His hands felt tense. His heart started beating faster. But instead of avoiding the conversation, he decided to try. His English was not perfect. He made a few mistakes. He paused sometimes. Yet something important happened. The conversation continued. The other person understood him. They communicated successfully. And when the conversation ended, he realized something powerful. Communication is not about perfection. Communication is about connection. That lesson changed the way he viewed English forever. Many learners spend too much time worrying about mistakes. But mistakes are a normal part of learning. Every person who speaks English fluently today made mistakes in the past. Every confident speaker was once nervous. Every successful learner started as a beginner. That is why courage matters so much. You do not need perfect English before you begin speaking. You simply need the willingness to try. So how can you build confidence in real conversations? Start small. You do not need to have long discussions right away. Even a short exchange can help. Ask simple questions. Answer simple questions. Talk about daily life. Talk about your hobbies. Talk about your plans. The goal is experience. Every conversation teaches you something new. If you have a friend who is learning English, practice together. You can talk for a few minutes each day. You can discuss a movie, a book, your work, or your goals. The topic is not important. The practice is what matters. If you do not have someone nearby to practice with, do not worry. Today, there are many opportunities online. You can join speaking groups. You can participate in language communities. You can exchange voice messages. You can even record responses to conversation prompts and practice independently. The important thing is continuing to use English actively. Another useful skill is learning how to keep conversations moving. Many learners answer a question and then stop. For example, "How was your day?" "It was good." And then the conversation ends. Instead, try adding another question. "How was your day?" "It was good. What about yours?" That small change can make a big difference. Good conversations grow through curiosity. Ask questions, show interest, keep the exchange going. Remember, you do not need advanced vocabulary to have meaningful conversations. Simple English can be extremely effective. Clear communication is more valuable than complicated language. As your confidence grows, your conversations will become longer and more natural. You will begin noticing improvements. You will respond more quickly. You will hesitate less often. You will trust yourself more. And, perhaps most importantly, you will stop seeing English as something you study and start seeing it as something you use. That is where real progress begins. So please be patient with yourself. Learning a language takes time. There will be good days, there will be difficult days. Some conversations will feel easy, others will feel challenging. That is completely normal. Do not judge your progress based on a single day. Look at how far you have come. Look at the words you know today that you did not know before. Look at the conversations you can have now that once seemed impossible. Growth often happens slowly, but it happens. Keep practicing, keep listening, keep speaking, keep believing in your ability to improve. Every sentence you speak is practice. Every conversation is experience. Every effort moves you forward. One day, you will look back and realize that the English that once felt difficult has become part of your daily life. You will understand more, you will express yourself more easily, and you will feel proud of the progress you have made. Before we finish, I have a small challenge for you. After watching this lesson, spend at least 5 minutes speaking English today. Talk about your day, describe your surroundings, share your thoughts. Just begin. Small actions create big results. If you enjoyed this lesson and found it useful, please support the channel by liking the video and subscribing for more English learning content. And in the comments below, write, "I will practice English today." I would love to read your responses. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep moving forward, and I will see you in the next lesson.